Okay, here we are on video 2. We're going to start with everything that we learned about units. Now we're going to learn about the conversions that we need. Here's a little chart showing why we use the metric units, because we use things that are prefixes. If you remember that from English class, pre means comes before it, and it's really going to identify what power of 10 we have to multiply or divide it by. You heard me say earlier that we were talking about grams, and we would probably use kilograms. Well, a gram is a base unit, and base units always start right here with the 1. But if you look up here, kilograms is several steps above. So we actually get to thousands. So there is 1,000 grams in a single kilogram. But that just means you would multiply by 10 for each step you go. Notice that's jumping several. You could also have hectograms or decagrams. And so what you do is, if you want to change from one or the other, you either multiply it by or divide it by 10. So if you were starting at kilograms and you wanted to get to grams, then you would multiply by 10 for each one that you went down. If you wanted to go the other way, you would end up dividing by 10 each way you go. I know that can be confusing, so we're going to look a little bit more in depth. So this is a nice little stair-step chart that makes it much easier to understand how we're converting if you're having trouble with understanding this concept. And so you'll start on any one step, and as you move up, you want to divide each step you go up. But if you're converting and you're going down, then you're going to multiply for each step that you go down. All right? To give a better idea of how that works, let's actually do a sample step. So let's say I had 1,000 grams, and I put that on the very base unit step because it doesn't have a prefix. It is just a gram. That's a base unit. Now, let's say I wanted to move up here to the kilograms. So that means I have 1, 2, 3 steps to go up. And I'm going to divide by 10 for each step that I go up. Meaning, my next step up, I'm going to have to divide 1,000 by 10, which will get 100 decagrams. And then as I go up again, I divide by 10. That gets rid of another 0. I now have 10 hectograms. And then as I go up one more time to kilograms, I divide by 10 again, and I'm going to only have 1 kilogram by the time I get there. So that means I've converted 1,000 grams to kilograms, and I would only have 1 kilogram for every 1,000 grams that I have. Now, if I was going down the steps, I could do that too. If I was going to, let's say, centigrams instead, I would just have to multiply, because I'm going to get more. I'm getting a smaller unit. So as I went down one step, I would then have 10,000 decigrams. And then as I went down one more, I would have 100,000 centigrams. And that's how you do this. So I know the major problem is you're like, well, I'm not going to have that stair step there all the time. So there's a fun little saying you can say that can help you get that stair step whenever you need it. It's King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. Now, when we have that, you need to understand that our base unit is what that B stands for. And then everything else is, this is kilo, hecta, deca, deci, centa, and milla. The other thing you need to realize is multiplying and dividing does nothing more then change the decimal by moving it up or down. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, let's move something from centigrams, let's use grams, that'll be our base unit, to hectograms, okay? And we can even use all kinds of crazy numbers for this, because since we're going to be using grams as our base unit, let's see if I can write slightly better. So we're going to be using grams. So we can start out with any number we want at centigrams and go to hectograms. What we're going to do is, let's say we had 5,273 centigrams, okay? And we need to get to hectograms. Well, we have a decimal right there. And we need to, going up the scale, these are up the stairs, would mean that we divide, right? So we're going to divide it by 10, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Well, when you divide by 10, you just move a decimal up. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Meaning we would now have 0.5273 hectograms. And that's how you do that conversion. It's how you can memorize it, how you can do it much, much easier. All right, I hope that helps. Here's some questions if you start to get lost to help you get back on track of what unit you actually need. First, what are you measuring? Is it a distance? Is it a volume? Is it a speed? Is it current? What is it? Okay, so you need to start figuring out what you're measuring. Secondly, what scale are you measuring with? So if you have different tools for measuring different things, I think we can all agree that a meter stick is bigger than a ruler, or even if you're going to measure miles, you're going to need bigger than that, right? So that'll give you an idea of what kind of prefix we're probably going to be starting with. Then, what is your unit for that type of measurement? So again, if I was measuring distance, I'm not going to use a volume meter like liters. I'm going to use a distance unit like meters. And then if I'm measuring a really big distance, I'm probably going to do kilometers, right? And then you might need to do a little bit of simple math to convert it, because sometimes you might have had it in meters, but you had a really big number and it would be easier to have it in kilometers. So you might have had 10,000 meters, but that 10,000 meters is really equal to only 10 kilometers. And so that's the one that we would choose to write all of this with in our SI units, which is meters, with our prefix of kilo, which gives us a much larger number simplified, and we work it all out to measure a distance. And that's how it all works together. Okay, let's practice a little. We have how many milliliters are in 2 liters of Pepsi. Liter, that's a volume. 2 liters, what a normal Pepsi comes in, but milliliters is a lot of times what it's written of your calorie count and things, how much of that you consume. So you're going to need to be able to look at things like that. So I'm going to start by writing my acronym again. So I go with King Henry died, that's Deca, by drinking chocolate milk. And I look at where I'm starting, and if I look that I'm starting at liters, liters is a base unit, and I need to get it down to milliliters. So that means I'm going to be moving 1, 2, 3. I would be multiplying by 10 each time, but I can do that very simply with my 2 My decimal's there. I have some zeros after a decimal. I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3. That means that my 2 liters is going to be equal to 2,000 milliliters. Now that I have that base up there, I can do away with my jumps again, and I can look at the next problem. This time I'm going to get how many hectograms are in 14,000 milligrams, right? So I have milli down here. We'll circle it in green this time. I need to get up here to hecta. So I'm going to have to jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times. That's going to be moving the decimal forward because I'm dividing. So let's start with my 14,000. My decimal's going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how many times we moved, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that many milligrams is going to equal 0.14. And then I don't have to write all of those extra zeros and then do that as my hectograms. And that's how we do that. Okay?